The violent unrest last month proves the ANC is at war with itself and is prepared to burn the whole country with it. That's according to University of the Free State Chancellor Bonang Mohale in his recent opinion piece about the violence. He's joining me now live from Centurion, Moyane, just to unpack his piece a little bit further. Dr. Mohale, good afternoon. Welcome to All Angles on eNCA. Yeah, very strong words you're using right throughout your article. I mean, it's clearly, like many of us in South Africa, you're feeling very much infuriated and a little bit frustrated, and you lay the blame squarely on the governing party. What should change?
Braden, you're absolutely correct. The collective trauma that we have been visited by this ANC-led government is of epic proportions. This is the first time in 27 years that we have seen rampant looting in the manner that it happened, where 200 malls were burned and destroyed, 800 shops, 1,400 ATMs, not even the blood bank was saved. They stole vaccines, they stole ammunition, they looted probably 8 factories, 29 warehouses, even of medication for diabetes and HIV/AIDS that they themselves were going to get. The lawlessness is worse than really an epidemic. We saw images that we only associated with countries to the north of us. Now it happened here, and if you look at the root cause, you say this has been a monumental failure of probably the last 27 years of this ANC-led government, and only now we need to look at it in the eye and call it what it is, rather than being euphemic.
Yeah, you say here, and I'm just reading at one point, the biggest loser is the ANC that has lost its founding principles, integrity, moral authority to be the leader of society, legitimate claim to delivering social justice, and social license to continue to not only exist but thrive. Now, if they've lost that, they don't deserve to be in government?
Yeah, I think President Matamela Ramaphosa still has the last chance, because he's not our only hope. He's our last hope. Because if we mess this one up, honestly, we are going to be another failed African country. So I think there needs to be some serious, deep introspection and reflection to say, what is it that I'm going to do between now and the end of the week with the opportunities that I have to send a message that says South Africa is open for business, to address the things that we've lived with, which is the inequality that is widening, the racism that is at an all-time high, the black graduates that are roaming the streets hopelessly, the public education that has collapsed, the public health care that continue to fail the poor and the vulnerable, and crucial infrastructure that is laying in ruins. All we had to do was just to maintain it. But most importantly, again, what are we going to do to restore law and order? Because business employs 13.5 million people pre-COVID, government 2.3 million people. Now we're in COVID, we're expecting business to really be our salvation as a trusted partner, and we go and destroy this business. And we call them name, we scapegoat, we white-ant them, and we talk about radical economic transformation and white monopoly capital. And yet there's not a single of South Africans who is not benefiting from business.
The other day I was just thinking about 2024. That will mark 30 years since democracy, 1994. It's not far away. It's 3 years from now. 30 years is like a generation. There will be a huge size of voters who will be voting for the first time as well in that year. Between now and then, what do you believe, from your analysis as you're looking at this governing party, the party of the likes of Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, Govan Mbeki, Joe Slovus, Yusuf Dadoo, you look at it today and you're thinking 3 years from now, I mean, how can it save itself? How can it possibly redeem itself in order to renew itself? For example, that Matamela Ramaphosa talks about that when he gives speeches.
I think we need to accept that the ANC of Oliver, Reginald Tambo, Mandela, Govan Mbeki doesn't exist anymore. Because it's very difficult to find somebody in the ANC today who has not been proven beyond any shadow of doubt that they are stealing. And it happens every day. You just have to look at the Zondo Commission. But I think to send this collective message that we want to save ourselves and atone for our sins, and retribution is forever asking for forgiveness and being eternally grateful for the mercy shown. We must send the top state capture miscreants to jail. The dirty dozen people who agitated and orchestrated for this rampant looting must follow them. We need to ensure that we reduce government debt, we roll out vaccine programs as a matter of urgency, because it has always been a race. We need to reduce the public sector wage bill. We must fix the more than 740 state-owned enterprises and state-owned companies. But the easiest low-hanging fruit, we've been talking for 10 years about digital migration. 5 ministers later, we still have not auctioned the spectrum. Okay. If we make that decision on Tuesday, it is possible to bank 20 billion on Friday.
Yeah, I was interviewing Duma Kubule, the economist, a few weeks ago, and he said if the ANC just did one thing, just implemented universal basic income grant, because the poor are still poor today, you have no jobs for them, help them and say, we're going to start this thing, they'll be forgiven a little bit while then they fix the bigger things that you've mentioned. But I can't let you go as we conclude, Datemohale, without asking you this question. The future really doesn't belong to you and me anymore. We're at a particular age now. It belongs to our children and our children's children. Why are we not listening to them?
So I support the basic income grant because it's a constitutional mandate of this ANC-led government to make sure that we have the freedom, not just of speech and association, but freedom from hunger. If we love our children, you see, when President Nelson Mandela's first cabinet of 400 MPs, 2 of them were less than 30 in Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi and Maria Ramos. They were in their 30s. At that time, we believed in young people. I think we not only need to pass the baton over to these young people, we need to keep them side by side to make sure that they are the ones that are co-crafters and co-creators of the future where they are heavily invested. Lastly, brother, there is no doubt that no people can be helped by or benefit from institutions that are not a direct result of their own character. The ANC-led government has done nothing about land, and there is no possession greater than land. It has done nothing about the apartheid special planning. Black people are still on average 40 kilometers living away from their place of work, taking 40 minutes one way, and therefore chowing up 40% of their income. If you include food, that's 70% of their income, and you wonder why Black people are structurally unable and impossible to save.
Datemohale, thank you very much for your insights as usual. I think you and I need to listen more to the young people as well. If I was a political party today, 3 years from the general elections, I would make sure that 50% at least of my candidate list are people of the young age. You know what, no matter how you describe it, whether from 25 to 45. Because that's the future of the country. It looks like the old generation just is stuck and we're going around in circles. Bonang Mohale, he's of course the Chancellor of the University of the Free State.